Welcome, fight fans, to Deep Waters here on ProBox TV, your boxing channel, where we take a deeper dive into boxing's top stories. I am George DeMatteis, filling in for Jimmy Smith on a well-deserved vacation, and I'm joined by our champions, Chris Algieri and the Magic Man, Paulie Malignaggi. Well, both of these gentlemen can appreciate the greatness of Jesse Bam Rodriguez, who strengthened his position as one of the best fighters on the planet this past weekend with a devastating 7th-round knockout victory over Juan Francisco El Gallo Estrada. I gotta make sure I say that right. All right, Chris, what were your impressions of Bam Rodriguez and his performance, impressive performance over Estrada?
George, you see my face?
Yeah.
See how hard I'm smiling?
So
Listen, I love me some Bam, and I have for a long time. This performance was next level. Listen, the Legend Slayer is the best nickname for this kid possible.
Maybe the best nickname in boxing.
He's knocking everybody off, and he's doing it in such fashion. So listen, all right. So the knock is going to be he's fighting these guys when they're older, right? Okay, but he's destroying them. He's dismantling them. So if they're older, he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. So what are you knocking? I mean, the kid is just stellar. He is knocking on the door of pound for pound. As soon as that fight ended, I'm texting people. I'm like, we are now entering the discussion of pound for pound Jesse Bam Rodriguez. I mean, he is that good. That performance was out of control good. I mean, the Edwards fight, Sonny Edwards, that was supposed to be a tough fight. He was supposed to be a guy that would maybe able to outbox him and maybe he'd get him because of the power. No, he outboxed him and beat him up and knocked him out.
Yep.
Made him quit, basically.
Yep.
So then he jumped up 2 weight classes to fight Quadras on like a couple weeks' notice. Quadras is excellent. He tuned him up. Cut angles, dropped him, dominated him. Became world champion in a weight class he doesn't even belong in. Defended it a couple times. Fought Rungvisai, who's a monster. Knocks him out, destroys him, dismantles. I was there for that. A hellacious knockout. Moves back down, picks up another title. Now comes back to the division where he was world champion to fight Estrada, an absolute living legend who's on most people's pound for pounds. He goes out there and just looks everything that we're talking about. Drops him. Looks like he's in control. I'm watching Twitter. People are like, oh, is it going to get stopped next round? This and that. Then he gets dropped. Gets up smiling as if to say, cool, all right, you got it. You're good. You're good. I always want to feel what this is like. Comes back, dismantles him. I mean, that last sequence for the knockout is something spectacular. It looks like the kind of thing that you would work on a coach, like on mitts, that you would never ever use.
Like a video game.
Yeah, like a video. Yeah, just press some buttons. X, Y, up, down, left, right. He did it all. And he goes out there, and he's doing it against someone who's so good. So good. Even Estrada in elevated age is still fantastic. And he showed that night. But, I mean, that last sequence was a thing of absolute beauty and should be studied by every young fighter in the world today. Absolutely amazing. Bam Rodriguez, thank you. Thank you for showing up and doing what you do over and over and over again.
Go ahead, Paulie.
And if he's beating guys when they're older, which would be a criticism, is it really a criticism? Because nobody else is beating them. You know what I mean? Like,
especially not like this.
They're not coming on. They're not coming on a roll for nothing. They're coming in on a roll. I mean, Estrada was coming in. Was coming off some good wins. And I don't think that you can really make that criticism, because if that was the so-called criticism, it would already be sliding in a way where you would see it noticeably and they wouldn't be getting these big wins. Estrada was coming off. Didn't he just beat Chocolatito recently? And okay, you might say he's a little bit past it as well. But honestly,
he's been out of the ring a while. But yeah, his last win was with Chocolatito.
Here's the thing. I mean, he's got the stoppage over Rungsai as well. So it's not just this fight. He's stopping a lot of these guys who have become legendary fighters in their own right at this weight class. He does it in style. You talked about this, the shot selection and combination punching like a video game champ. I mean, this kid is very, very special to watch. And he makes it look easy even when he's getting dropped. He may just, the fluidity of his shots is so fun to watch, so impressive to watch. Really, really a top fighter.
So now Jesse Bam Rodriguez impressing the whole boxing world, or continues to impress the whole boxing world. So where does he rank in terms? I know you guys are not too fond of the pound for pound rankings, but where does he rank in those pound for pound rankings now?
I got him just outside the top 5. I mean, he's knocking on that door. I think Estrada. A lot of people had Estrada 9 or 10. Especially a lot of the Mexican analysts and pundits, which is completely agreeable. I get Estrada's amazing, but now you're looking at Bam with that kind of destruction of a guy at that level. You know, whether you have Estrada in the top 10 or not, he's still around that area, 10, 11, 12.
Right.
That's what kind of fighter he is. But Bam, now, I got him just outside the top 5. You know, we have an incredible pound-for-pound top 5 right now. You're looking at guys like Usyk and Crawford and Inoue. So, you know, I'm not putting him into that number yet. He's 24 years old. Granted, he's been doing amazing things with the guys that are in front of him. He's a 2-division world champion now. He's knocked off 3 legends at this point. And he's doing everything that he can, but he has lofty goals. You know, his post-fight interview was fantastic. You know, they're asking him about Inoue, and he's like, nah, that's not. That's a little bit of a dream matchup. I got things to do, and he's calling out the local guys around him. What I love about him, other than obviously the way that he fights, he's got the mindset of a fighter. He wants all the smoke. He wants everybody around him, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's very direct with what he says and what he wants to do. This kid's going to be around for a long time, and I'm closing my eyes and thinking forward to when Bam Rodriguez is pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world, which is going to be in a couple years.
So you think it's an inevitability, in other words? I mean, he's on that kind of path.
I thought that a couple years ago when I first met him.
Okay.
I called a lot of his fights in the bubble for Top Rank as he was coming up, and he was just knocking guys off, you know, over and over. Met him, talked to him, great kid. And then I was at the fight when he beat Quadras, and I was like, that was super impressive because I rated Quadras very high. Because he's another one of those guys. He fought everybody. He fought Chocolatito. He fought Estrada. You know, like he's one of those guys who was in the mix of all those guys, and he dismantled him. And just the way that he approaches everything. And then on top of it, just stylistically, I know I'm going off on Bam because I'm a big fan. But you know, I think stylistically, he may be one of the most difficult guy in the world to fight, other than Crawford. He's a southpaw. He's got great footwork. He's got good defense. He's got a chin. He's got a heart. He's mentally focused. You mentioned the combination punching champ. He hits the head, the body, everything. I mean, the first knockdown when he knocked down Estrada, uppercut, 1-2, bang. It was perfect, right on the money. Like the champ says, like playing a video game. It looked like a fight night game. Just bing, 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 and it's just perfect balance, everything. I'm going crazy now.
All right, Paulie, what do you think? Where does he rank on your pound-for-pound?
Well, you know, we live in a time where I think guys jump so many weight classes. I think the time when guys have jumped this many weight classes to as much as we see now, recently Pacquiao, and we're seeing Crawford, we're seeing Inoue. Yeah, last time you saw this kind of weight class jumping so fluidly was probably in the earlier times of boxing, where, in my belief, they were able to do that because boxing was so primitive. And I know that's like blasphemy to these historians who think, you know, guys who were standing squared and throwing wild roundhouse shots all over the place are some of the greatest fighters ever, but I don't think so. You know, I think those guys laid the foundation and the building blocks for modern boxing. But today's fighters, you're seeing all kinds of crazy stuff happen. And we won't go into the controversy. We'll just talk into how great that is to see, right? And as far as if I think about how great that is to see, you see guys really accomplishing a lot of things. And then still the so-called historians, I guess those guys have the last say. I don't know who made them the be-all, end-all, but those guys have the last say. You see this kind of thing, and then you see these kind of guys accomplishing so much, and they're still not like an all-time great or not something, you know, like, oh, well, he's not better than the guy who fought in 1805. You know, he's not better than that guy. You know, it's like it's really weird to me because I think today you see some of the most amazing accomplishments. Whether you think it's with help or not is a different animal. But I think so today you see some of the most amazing accomplishments. But for Bam to enter that high realm, I mean, what's he going to do? Was he going to have to fight like every single weight class in boxing and then fight a grizzly bear and a shark on the same day in water and on land? And then maybe he's like the number 10 all time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where do you go? You know what I mean? Like you're fighting an uphill battle. It's just a controversial topic. I think he's got greatness written all over him. You know, it reminds me of the conversations in the movie Stand By Me, when I think it was Jerry O'Connell and Corey Feldman are talking about who would win, Mighty Mouse or Superman. And Corey Feldman's like, it's a stupid question. Superman's a real guy.
Yeah.
You know? Man, he's a real guy. You know what I mean? He's the man, you know? So, I don't know, man. I mean, I look forward to continuing to watch Bam. He's amazing to watch, and he's a lot of fun. And that's what I'm looking forward to, man. I hate the pound-for-pound conversations, but I love watching guys like Bam Rodriguez fight because they are pleasing to the eye as far as styles are concerned.
All right, on that note, we're going to take a quick break here in Deep Waters. We'll keep talking about the future of Jesse Bam Rodriguez here on ProBox TV.
But for Bam, I think that we need to start recognising he's 24 years of age. If he beats Estrada tomorrow night, for me, you have to put him in that top 5, top 6 pound-for-pound conversation. And, like, he's 24. So he couldn't make flyweight anymore. It won't be long till he can't make super flyweight. Then he'll be at bantam. Then he'll be at super bantam.
Yeah.
You know, so I believe that he could be. It's a shame he never won a world title at light fly, because he could have done. That's where he used to fight at. But I believe you're looking at a 4 to 5 weight world champion in Bam Rodriguez.
Some strong words there from Eddie Hearn talking about the future of Jesse Bam Rodriguez. All right, Chris, what do you make of Eddie Hearn's comments there about the future of Jesse Bam Rodriguez, and what does he have to do to become a major draw in boxing?
I mean, I don't often agree with Eddie, but that basically just said the same thing prior to this.
Yeah,
I mean,
he did.
He's 24, and you know he beat Estrada. He did it in epic fashion. You know, he's that. Just around that top 5, pound for pound. That's where I'm putting him now. The discussion is open now. There's no question that he's going to be in the pound for pound discussions. It's just where you're going to rate him. But it's so early in his career, and he has so much more to do. You know, and he hasn't jumped that many weight classes yet, right? He has a world championship his first world championship was 115, which wasn't his weight class. Defended it, then moved back down to 112, which is closer to his original weight. But again, he was in his early 20s, and then he goes back up to 115. You know, is he going to eventually go to 118? Sure, but he's not even talking about that. He's like, I'm talking about unifying these belts and these guys that are here. He is old school in a lot of ways, but one of them is that he thinks belts are important and unifying is important, which is great. So if he can go and collect the rest of these belts at 115, because remember, he just got here, or got back here. He can go collect those belts and then worry about the future. I know the way that I can tell by the way that Bam is in terms of how he talks and how he moves. You know, he's one foot in front of the other. One body in front of the next. I'm taking heads. I'm coming forward, and I'll deal with down the line as we go. You know, I remember being 24 and not thinking too far ahead either. Thinking about what's right in front of me. Right now, he's a train that doesn't see stops. It sees the next stop, and that's about it. So he's looking to collect these heads, collect these belts, and then go from there.
Yeah, Paulie, what do you make of Eddie Hearn's comments? And then, is it the path for him to become a major draw is to gather those belts, become a world champion, and then more eyes will be on him because he's got multiple belts?
The unification is a big deal, man. I think there's a lot he can do here, and he can really solidify his place among the best and the elite in the sport. He's already done that, but I think, like I said, I don't like the conversation about 4 or 5 weight classes and stuff like that. I just think that's something you see recently. I think it's weird to me. It doesn't sound realistic. I mean, Ricardo Lopez was one of the best fighters ever in around that weight class. I think he stayed at a 108 his whole career, maybe 105. I mean, think about the dilemma you have in boxing, the phenomenon that has happened in the last 30 years or something. You know, and people look at me like I'm crazy when I talk about PEDs. You know, you had amazing fighters that, especially these small guys, they don't grow. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, one guy grew up 8 weight classes, and all of a sudden now everybody's got to do it. You know what I mean? It's like especially these smaller guys, it's hard for them to grow. So I don't want to be the guy to force Bam Rodriguez to go up 75 weight classes to get recognition. This kid is an unbelievable talent. He's an unbelievable fighter. And every time I watch him fight, I'm super, super impressed. Not just by the skill set and his ability to win and his ability to beat top guys, but also the fact that he can do it while being fun. It's not always easy to win and look good at the same time. And this kid does it constantly, consistently, you know? That's more so what I'm looking forward to. I look forward to watching him fight every time he fights. I'm not gonna get into if he's gonna win 17 belts and then fight grizzly bears and then become the king of the jungle too. You know what I mean? I'm not with that, man. I look forward to seeing him continue to fight. I look forward to watching greatness. He beat a young phenom in Edwards. Then he's beating legends in Sarungsai, Estradas and Quadras. I mean, he's just you know, he's gotten enough wins to get the total recognition. I just want to see him collect belts, and then we'll see. Take it one step at a time. But this kid is really, really a talent.
All right, let's talk about collecting belts, because this weekend coming up in Japan, it'll be the WBA champion Kazuto Ioka going up against the IBF champion Fernando Martinez. So, safe to say that the winner of this fight is next in line for Bam Rodriguez. At least that's how it should be, Chris?
I'm pretty sure he mentioned both of them in the post-fight interview. That's the fight that he wants, the winner of that. He wants to collect these belts. And yeah, it makes sense. And the thing about, building Jesse Bam Rodriguez, I don't know if there's that much building that's really going to have to take place. He's already getting a lot of eyes. This is a big deal. And yes, it's a smaller weight class. Yes, this is a new era where people are actually watching these fights and care about them. Flyweight was never really a division that, American fans are really tuned in. Now they are. Bam's a star. I mean, and from he's got the look, he's got the performances, he talks the right way. People want to see this guy. He's also got the Mexican fan base built in. So I don't know how much building is really going to be necessary when you're putting on performances like he's putting up and acting and moving the way that he's moving. He's moving like a champion. So, yeah, I think it'll be, again, something we always talk about in these shows, the lighter weight classes and the ladies, it's much easier to make the big fights. The talent pool's smaller. There's not that many names. Everybody wants to make money. The way to make money is to fight the best guys, always. And Bam is the star of the division. He's also a champion. He's going to go and try and make those fights, and I don't think it's going to be that hard. So, yeah, that would make the most sense. That would be the next fight for Bam Rodriguez. And I'm sure the winner of that fight is going to want to fight Bam too.
Right.
You want to make money. Guys, we're prize fighters. We want to make money. We want to fight good guys. We don't want to avoid people, because if you're avoiding the right guys, the top guys, you're avoiding money. We're not avoiding money. We want the money. So we're prize fighters.
And usually the belt yields a lot of money. Usually.
Money and negotiating power.
Right.
Yes.
All right, Paulie, what do you make of the next move for Jesse Bam Rodriguez? Is it obvious that it's the winner of Ioka versus Martinez?
I mean, listen, if he's talking about collecting belts, that's a unification in and of itself. So you would figure the winner would be wanting to unify against a big name like Bam. You know, Bam has made himself big in the West, which is not always easy for the smaller guys. It's usually the smaller guys get big in the East. So you got some big fighters in the East. The winner of that fight would obviously be a unified champion already. So to now unify those belts with Bam seems like the most logical conclusion here. And that's what I'm probably and hoping to see next.
All right, let me put out a little fantasy fight for you guys, because Eddie Hearn mentioned that Bam Rodriguez could move up multiple weight classes, and then you start getting into monster Inoue territory there. How realistic? I know that's going to be 2 or 3 years down the line, but how realistic is that fight possibly, especially if Inoue remains undefeated and Bam Rodriguez can, let's say, become undisputed at 115? How realistic is that fight down the line, maybe 2 or 3 years down the line?
I'm going to reiterate the words that Bam Rodriguez said after the fight when he was asked about it. That's a fantasy matchup. I'm not even worried about that. I'm worried about what's right in front of me, just like I said. Listen, I can talk about him, like you said, champ, fighting grizzly bears and great white sharks till we're blue in the face. But I don't care about talking about that stuff. I want to talk about what's actually going to happen, what's in front of us. And talking 2-3 years down the line makes no sense to me. Let's talk about what Bam's doing right now, because it's spectacular in and of itself. I don't think we need to reach. We don't need to think about him fighting at 147 pounds one day. Who cares? Let's talk about what's right in front of him. He's got great fights on the horizon.
All right, time for a quick break here on Deep Waters. We will continue the discussion here about Bam Rodriguez and some of the lower weight classes here on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. Welcome back, everyone, to Deep Waters here on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. All right, time to talk heavyweights, because in September, it'll be Daniel Dubois versus Anthony Joshua. All right, Paulie, how do you see this fight going, and how will it impact the heavyweight division?
Big showdown between British fighters. I love it, man. I mean, anytime you're able to bring two fighters together that bring the fans from England together, and you know, in a festive atmosphere, the way they do, this is a big enough fight that's going to do that. You know, whether you do it in the Middle East, whether you do it in England, I'm all for it, man. You know, been waiting a long time to see the heavyweight division this exciting. You know, after the Klitschko era, which is a little bit dull despite his amazing talent, and it's been really, really good, especially with Riyadh season. It's the Sheikh Turki Al Sheikh has done a big thing with the heavyweight division, mainly the heavyweight division. And so I think the possibility for AJ and Dubois to be an exciting fight is there. It's one that I'm really looking forward to, and hope it comes through the right way.
And at Wembley Stadium, too, so you could fill that up 60, 70,000
Well, that's what I'm talking. When I say the right way, I mean, you know, I'd love to see it in Wembley. You know, I know they want to do Riyadh, but I'd love to see it in Wembley and in a place like that, you know?
All right, Chris, what do you make of this matchup and how it will affect the heavyweight division?
I love this fight. I really, really like this fight. I think both guys have seen some shaky times in recent years. Joshua obviously had his loss to Andy Ruiz, and he's got his 2 losses to Usyk, which in hindsight, you know, is the best fighter, his best heavyweight in the world, and his pound for pound #1. But in his recent form has been fantastic. Joshua looks like he's back, and Dubois, who's had a very shaky couple of years, he has looked fantastic in his last 2 fights, beating Jarrell Miller and then Filip Urgovic. He was an underdog, definitely in the Urgovic fight, possibly even in the Jarrell Miller fight. Looked phenomenal in both, and has overcome a lot in his career. He's a really young guy. You know, he was always highly touted because his physical presence, his power. You know, he had the look, but now he's got the goods. So you got 2 guys that are riding high in terms of their respective careers, and they're meeting at the right time and possibly in the right place if it ends up in Wembley because you got two Brits. One thing I want to just talk about real quick. This fight did not need the IBF strap.
I was going to ask you about the IBF
It was a good fight
strap,
anyway.
yeah.
It doesn't need to elevate. It's going to be huge. You got two Brits fighting. You got two heavyweights. It's a good matchup. This whole stripping Usyk, which takes away from the rematch of Usyk-Fury, which takes away from both those guys. So Usyk doesn't get to defend the undisputed heavyweight championship.
Right.
Fury doesn't have the opportunity to fight for the. So say Fury wins, he's now been stripped of the possibility of being undisputed now.
Right.
That's terrible. And you're taking away this belt and putting it on the line for Joshua and Ergovic and Dubois for what? The fight's good anyway. People are going to tune in anyway. They don't need this belt to make this fight elevated in any way. It's just that the powers that be are looking ahead for what's going to happen next. But in my eyes, this is a fantastic fight. If we're just looking at the fight itself, great fight. Great, happy that it's happening. When it's happening. Hopefully, it happens where it's supposed to happen, like you said, champ.
Now, Paulie, what do you make of the IBF's intrusion into the heavyweight division, taking the strap from Usyk and then putting it on the line here between Dubois and Joshua?
I think they wanted to put it on the line, and there was going to be a sort of an exemption that was going to be granted from what we had originally heard. And then I saw the statement that Usyk made. I think when he was somewhere in Europe with the beach behind them, with the water behind them, and he basically said, I'll let you guys fight for it. It was almost like a proud uncle, telling his two nephews or his two sons, like, all right, you guys, I'll give you a little bit of prize, because they're like his nephews. He beat them both, right? So it's like, he's like, all right, I'll give you one of my belts. You guys can tangle for it. And I look forward to watching. I like the way he did that. The IBF, I think, is trying to keep things moving. I don't mind that part. As far as other guys getting the shots, the necessary shots, the heavyweight division has to keep moving. You do want to see the undisputed title be on the line. But hey, you know what this could really lead to is the winner, if Usyk beats Fury again, then he can fight the winner of AJ and Dubois. Hey man, he at that point he would have beaten Fury twice. So why not beat one of them 2 or 3 times?
Ooh, certainly is very.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. AJ with Ben Davidson is a bit of a different character there, man. I'm telling you, there's a different animal there with Anthony Joshua has become with Ben Davidson. I like what I'm seeing with Anthony Joshua. So I don't know if it's the same AJ that Usyk beat twice already. But
And an aging older Usyk.
Yeah, exactly. So why not?
A third one there between Usyk and Joshua. You never know. We'll see what happens. All right, more deep waters here on the other side. Welcome back to Deep Waters here on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. George DeMatteis alongside the champions Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi. Fellas, we always got to talk about some way, somehow, Canelo Alvarez. Now, it is being speculated that his next opponent will be Edgar Berlanga, according to Eddie Hearn. Now, there are some interesting details here about when this fight might take place. Now, it's supposed to be Mexican Independence Day in September, but the Sphere in Las Vegas is booked for a UFC event, and that might put off the possible fight between Edgar Berlanga and Canelo Alvarez. And so, Paulie, I lay it to you here. What should Canelo do if he wants to fight Berlanga, but he doesn't have it in Vegas at the Sphere? What are the other options there for this fight to take place?
I don't know, man. Puerto Rico? New York? New York's got too many taxes, though, man. So he's not going to come to New York, I don't think. Although he did do it against Rocky Fielding. This is probably a bigger fight. If you do it I don't know. The Garden would be too many taxes. I think the Garden was obviously, in any other generation, you've seen the greats have their big fights at the Garden, at Madison Square Garden, but those New York taxes, man, they'll keep those big money fighters out of New York, man. I know that's why Floyd Mayweather never fought in New York.
Bring it down here. Bring it to Miami. Got tons of Puerto Rican fans. Canelo's fought Miami before. What?
That's not a bad one either. I don't know if Canelo wants to give Berlanga the home field advantage, so to speak.
Is it going to matter?
Yeah, that's another question too. Yeah, man. Do it at what is it? It's not Joe Robbie Stadium anymore. What is it called now?
It's called Hard Rock Stadium.
The Hard Rock.
Yeah.
Boom. Let's do it there.
Yeah. Paulie is a true 305 because he said Joe Robbie Stadium. That's what it was originally called. That's what us Miami natives call it still to this day. So, but let's talk about, because the venue, the date, all these different factors here. Is it to the point Canelo doesn't even fight on Mexican Independence Day?
I've got some thoughts about this.
Okay.
So it's, first of all, we don't know it's Berlanga.
Right.
We don't have a date. We don't really have an opponent because it's supposed to be Berlanga last time. So we never know how Canelo's going to move. He does whatever he wants. That's beside the point. Now, in terms of this UFC situation in the Sphere, people are acting like there's only one venue in Vegas. Canelo's never fought in Sphere before anyway. So why does it matter that UFC got the Sphere that night? Go head to head with them. There's enough Mexican fans and Puerto Rican fans that are not going to care about the UFC.
Are you going to go head to head with the pay-per-view though? That's the thing, because now there's 2 pay-per-views that night.
So what? Listen, Mexican fans are going to buy the UFC over boxing, over Canelo.
Oh,
Even
but
if it doesn't matter who he's fighting.
It's not only Mexican fans that buy Canelo fights. You know,
It's true, but listen, I don't think it should hold him back. I mean, he's fought on the same time before, and you know they're saying that UFC is packing with Mexican fans. The Mexican fighters, there's no Mexican fighters who are going to tune into UFC over Canelo. So I don't know. I think just so what? He took the event. Go on, power through. Power through. You're a big enough star. You know, with the Kovalev fight, he waited till after the event so people could tune in and actually see it live. But I don't know. I don't like this idea of moving around a whole nother sport. If you are the man, if you are the money train, go right ahead, take it, man. Listen, you got to fight on Mexican independence. That's
what Dana White has done to Canelo in the past, right? He had the Masvidal. Was it who did Masvidal fight that night?
Might have been Nate Diaz.
Diaz. It was for the BAMF title.
Diaz, which ironically aren't they boxing now?
Yes.
Yeah.
They are.
So you know, yeah, he'd done it before. So you know, no F's given by Dana White in terms of even Canelo fight night. So no.
I think he's doing it on purpose. It seems like he's targeting him. But I think if no F's given, shot, it should be Canelo.
You gotta have balls to do that, to go head to head against Canelo. Canelo's a big sell, you know. So the fact that he's doing it again means that he probably got the numbers he wanted the last time he did it, you know. So and also it could be that he's probably saying to Canelo, bro, you fight cab drivers anyway, so who's gonna? I don't mind going head to head with you because people are gonna buy my pay-per-view. You know, it could be a little bit of that too. You know, very, very interesting. I know Dana has had some criticism for the opposition Canelo fights. And I'm not the biggest Dana White fan. I'm just going by, you know, what's on the record here, you know.
I think it was a draw enough because, you know, one of the reasons that, you know, Berlanga is getting this opportunity is the Puerto Rican fan base draw. You've got the Mexican fan base, you've got Puerto Ricans. Classically, historically, Mexican-Puerto Rican matchups have been
I like to see in the
touted. So I think
any Mexicans or Puerto Rican fans that would not buy the Canelo Berlanga fight in favor of the UFC fight, because
I can't see that. I can't see that.
It's hard for me to see too, but I'm curious to see where this decision would come on the part of Dana White, you know?
I'm more curious about the decision of Team Canelo to avoid it. And again, we don't know that. This is all speculation at this point. We don't know the opponent, the venue, the date, whatever. But in my eyes, I think power through, make the fight happen. Base it on the power of your draw and the fact that you've got two built-in fan bases who are ready. Boxing fans are not going to pick UFC. Mexican fans are not going to pick UFC. Puerto Rican fans are not going to pick UFC.
Right.
We're not going to pick UFC. I'm watching Canelo over UFC no matter what.
Yeah.
No one's going to pick UFC.
There you go, boxing.
I mean,
boxing
people out there, people watching these shows are not going to pick UFC.
Right.
How about that?
Boxing will prevail. Put it on that weekend, Canelo. Don't be afraid.
Tell
of
us
the
in the
UFC.
comments, guys. Let us know what you think.
Yes, definitely. And don't forget, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. That's Deep Waters here on ProBox TV.